G'day, Keithy here. Thank you for joining me again. Good to see you. Back again. Now, first up, I've got to apologise for not putting a video out for the last fortnight. So the long and short of it is I have usually got a couple of videos ready to go for you guys weeks in advance. Anyway, they disappeared. Yeah, the videos, I don't know where they went. Something went completely wrong. I lost a lot of photos and videos and stuff off my phone, presumably when I was doing a backup or something like that. So they're gone. I've got to have to do it all again. Some of it I can't do. Some of the car stuff, the working on the four-wheel drive and whatnot, I can't do again. But the FIFO videos that I had planned, I can do them to an extent. Obviously, I'm not scripting any of the stuff that I do, but I do have some kind of order with the things that I do, so I can get them back up for you. I've got to show you something too. G'day. Good to see you again. So, on the topic of mining money, this is one of the perks of the job. I think you call it $1 million view. I'll see if I can turn this camera around. So there you go. Beautiful skies. And you get to see so many sunrises and sunsets. Work and shift work. But that is just amazing. See if I can play around with the settings and make it look better for you. No, not really. It looks amazing. So wasn't that beautiful? Like, it's still out there now, except I'm just sitting on my little balcony instead of standing out there. I don't know how long I'll be out here either. There's a lot of flies out here at the moment. They're keeping me company, but they can get pretty annoying, especially when you're recording a 10-minute video or 15-minute video. Again, I'll say to everyone, I know you've probably heard it before, but if you want to, you can head up there, head to Facebook, Chilling with Keithy. You can chill out with me up there, say g'day, have a chat, send me messages, see what I get up to when I'm not doing these YouTube videos for you guys. It's an easy place. So Facebook, I mean, that's the only place I'm on at the moment. I've got to get my finger pulled out and actually get an Instagram account. And then I can get photo. I don't even know what Instagram's about. Comment down there. Let me know what Instagram's all about. I think, to my knowledge, it's just photos, isn't it? It's you put photos up. Here's one of the flies. Anyway, you guys can explain that to me. I want to do a little bit of a shout out too to some of you guys who have been messaging me. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail about what we've been discussing, because obviously some of these things are personal. Some people don't like things being discussed. But Damo, g'day mate. I hope you do well with your endeavours. You know who you are. We've been chatting very recently about jobs in the mine. We've got Wendy, the Kiwi. Wendy, same deal. I hope you're doing really well with that. I hope everything is going really smooth there to get to transition into that kind of lifestyle. And also Angela from Scotland. G'day, and good luck with your endeavours there as well. Obviously, you know, with the COVID, it makes it very hard getting to Australia, but all good things take time, so I hope that works out well for you as well. That's just a couple of examples of people who I've been chatting with on the old Chilling with Keithy. A lot of people ask me for job advice. A lot of people ask me the pay one, which I discussed a little bit in the Mythbuster one, which is where is it? It's up there. The Mining Mythbuster. Oh, these flies. I'm going to have to go inside in a sec. I think this is just terrible. Anyway, today's video, guys, is mining money. So we're going to talk about the mining money. What do you do with your big dollar signs when you come and earn $1 million out in the mines? If you're not used to earning an income of mining proportion, then stay tuned, because you're going to want to see this one. All right, so I had to come inside because the flies were just terrible out there. So I've just knocked off a night shift. I'm here to talk to you about mining money. So what do you do when you earn your millions and millions of dollars in the mining industry? If you haven't come from that kind of dollar signs before, it's not necessarily daunting, but it's a new world to go, whoa, I didn't have this before, but now I do. But there are some things that you need to think about when you start to earn the higher incomes as to what you do with your money, where you're going to put it, what are you going to do with it. So I'm going to do a stereotypical example just for you guys. So usually when people talk about miners, like if you go really anywhere in the cities, you can pick a mine worker from a mile away, because usually they are wearing the classic hat, they've got their fancy polo shirts on, nice shirt, they've jumped out of a brand new Land Cruiser, probably got a boat behind it. That's a stereotypical example. And because it's a weekday and you've seen them in their civvies having lunch in town somewhere, usually you can spot them from a mile away. Now, what you probably don't realise about Joe, mine worker, is that brand new Land Cruiser and the boat, the quad bike and dirt bikes and the jet skis and all that kind of stuff they've got at home, 90%, probably 100% of that is financed. And there wouldn't be much in the way of deposit on that kind of stuff. So I'm going to stab at this and say it's probably over $150,000 worth of debt average Joe's got accrued there. And that's personal debt. So that, whether that's a personal loan or vehicle finance or whatever it may be, this is an example of a stereotypical mine worker. So they're not, because they're earning a good income doesn't necessarily mean that they are paying cash for all of those kind of items. Most of those stereotypical average Joe miner, they're loaded up to the eyeballs with finance. How do you avoid that? Okay, so you're on the big dollars now that you didn't used to have. Now, you've not long started in the mines. You finally got on top of a few bills that were niggling you at home. You might have paid the credit card off or whatever it may be. Now's the time to knuckle down and be sensible with your money. And this is just my advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I have been in the industry for about 18 or 19 years. Half of my life I've been in the mines. So I've been around enough to sort of have a bit of a go and work out the right from the wrong. So there's this thing when it comes, we're going to talk specifically with spending your money here. So there's an old saying, and I don't know if you've heard it before, you probably have. Cheap, fast and easy, you can only pick two. So, and we're talking finances here, so when I say fast, it really means quick, you know, you want it now type thing. Cheap can be, bargain, and easy is generally the finance option here. So if it's cheap and you can get it quick, usually it's not going to be easy, and well, like I said, the easy is the finance option, so you're going to be paying that off for some time. Most personal loans or car loans and all that kind of stuff, that's 5 years. So you go and buy yourself a $100,000 Land Cruiser, that's 5 years you're stuck with that debt. So we've done cheap and quick. What about quick and easy? So if you want something now, fast, and you want it on finance, usually that's because it's not cheap. So you can only have the two. And then you go the other way around, you got the cheap and the easy. So you got finance for something cheap. Is it going to happen there and then? Are you going to get what you want? No, because you're going to be stuck with it for a number of years because you've just financed it. So that's just one way of thinking about spending your money. Now, what I'm leading to in talking about this kind of stuff is, do you have to finance things? When you start to earn a lot of money, it's a good idea to try and put some aside where you can, excuse me, to try and save up a little bit of money, because that will come in handy when you finally decide, yeah, okay, we need a new car at home, we've dealt with this 1990 Hyundai Excel for long enough, it's time to upgrade to something. Maybe you want to get a dual cab or a Commodore or, you know, a Camry or whatever you might want to get. So it's a good idea, if you can, to try and save up for things like that, because the cheap, fast and easy rule Well, you're sort of breaking into that, because if you've got the savings there, then the easy one disappears. The finance starts to get less and less. So instead of, say, having, let's use an example, a vehicle at $50,000. Let's say you've even saved up 25 grand of that. That's reducing this easy one, the finance option, right down. So maybe instead of a 5-year loan, you can get a 3-year loan or a 2-year loan for the remaining, say, 25 if you saved up half of that. So that's sort of moving this around a little bit, isn't it? There's other ways you can do it. If you don't need a vehicle that costs $50,000, maybe you can get something cheaper than that. And you can square these in your favour because you're on a good income, and you know what? Before you had that big income, you were managing to get by. Yeah, fair enough. You might have had a bit on the credit card or things like that, and every now and then you had to think about what you were doing. Those dinners out, you might have to miss one every now and then type thing. Well, your lifestyle doesn't have to change just because you've earned a little bit more money now. If you were to live within the means that you used to live within on a bigger income, you've got this big gap here, and that's savings. That's what you can put aside. So if you put aside, let's say $2 grand a month for 6 months, there's 12 grand. That's not too bad. If you saved up for a year, there's 24, there's half of that $50,000 car you wanted to buy. And that's going to save you a lot in interest, loan fees, all of that kind of stuff. So there's something to think about there. In terms of vehicles specifically, I'm going to talk to you about just vehicles because that's what most people seem to spend their money on. I'm getting personal with this one. So I've never spent, I'll tell you, the two vehicles that you're seeing on my YouTube is my Ute, my Commodore Ute, and my Range Rover. Now they're about a year apart. They're both about 2000, 2001 models. Between the two of those cars, there's no finance. I paid cash for them. But both of those cars combined, they don't even equal $20,000, the total what I paid for them. In fact, they don't even equal $15,000. So on a good mining income, using your money smart and saving up, you can pay cash for things and save yourself the finance. So you can have something at a good price and when you want it. It's all about planning. So that's just one example there. Now, an example of another type of debt that you probably don't see with your average Joe miner is house debt. I'm not going to offer a stereotypical house that average Joe would live in, but you can imagine the big 600-inch flat screen telly, new every year type thing. Probably all financed. There's another thing you can think about furnishing a house. You don't have to go and get the GE cards or the instant money or the zip pay or whatever those other easy money options are to get that kind of stuff. You've got to be smart with your money here. And this is the way that you're going to have a good time in the mines, because you're not going to be living with 5 years worth of debt. And with that 5 years worth of debt, you've got to think that if you want to change your career, say you've done now 2 years in the mines, your partner is not exactly happy with it, you're thinking maybe I need to get out of the mines. Well, you're actually stuck there because you've got so much finance that you can't go back into a town job that pays 20 grand less because you're overcommitted, you're above what you can afford. The same can apply when you're buying a house. Now there's a difference between good debt and bad debt. So $150,000 worth of motorbikes and cars and toys and whatnot, that's not exactly the best kind of debt. Did you really need that jet ski? Did you really need that Can-Am, Polaris, whatever it may be? Do you need a brand new Land Cruiser? Could you not have got something that's 2 or 3 years old and save yourself, $30,000 or something? There's that option. Then there's house debt as well, and house debt is actually good debt. But leading in from what we were talking about before, this gap between what you used to earn and what you earn now. If you put that aside, and we go back to the example before, $24,000. That's a very good house deposit there. But what if you saved up for 2 years? You got $48,000. Now that's a really good house deposit right there. And if you've never had a house before, you've got yourself probably like a first homeowners or first home builders or whatever it's called these days, that you can also chuck at that. And then we relate back to the cheap, fast and easy thing. You're going to save yourself a lot of dollars from the outset with a bigger deposit on a home loan. But say buying a house isn't your thing. Maybe you're really young, you're 18 or 19, and you don't want to get a house just now. You're happy to rent for a little bit. Maybe shares is a good option, or contributing a little bit extra into your superannuation. I can tell you from my experience when I was 18, I didn't really care about the superannuation because you know what, that's 40 years away. I couldn't care 50 years, however much it was. Didn't really give too much thought. Now, I'm not old, but I'm moving up the ladder a little bit, you know, starting to get a few greys on the whiskers here and there. And superannuation is definitely something that I'm thinking a little bit about. And I've been watching my super for a long time now anyway, well over 10 years. So I know what's happening there, but there's some aspects to your superannuation you can actually play around with that as well. Might pay to take a look at that, depending on what super fund you're on. I'm pretty sure they all have these options where you can play around with your super, and that's another good thing. What I'm alluding to with this video though is when you start to earn the big dollars that you didn't have before, and it might only be 10 grand more than what you used to earn, it could be 50 grand more than what you used to earn. I'm just assuming, we'll just use 20 grand or so as an example for most of this. The message that I'm trying to get across is it's time to look after your money, to manage your money. Don't be average Joe, deaded up with 150,000, 200,000 worth of toys that you can't use half the time anyway. And your mates probably can't either because they're working a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday job. Have a think about what you need and what you want and balance them up. And there's nothing wrong with having a new car or deciding to buy a boat. You know the acronym for boat, bring on another 1,000. That's why I don't have a boat. But just be sensible with your money. If you're going for, say, home loans and things like that, I definitely recommend going to see a mortgage broker. They're very handy at telling you things like your borrowing capacity and whatnot. They'll give you tips on ways that you can save money in order to get a better deposit for a home loan. And then things if you wanted to dabble in the share market as well. If you're young and you've got a bit of time and you don't necessarily want to get yourself into a house just now, the share market is also another good option if you've got a little bit of surplus cash getting around. Shares are definitely something to look at as well. And you can talk to financial advisors and stockbrokers and things like that with regards to those kind of things. So I hope I've lightened things up a little bit. I probably haven't. You guys are very cluey and you're smart people. And managing your money is not necessarily something that interests a lot of people, but it's definitely a long-term topic that a lot of people overlook. What I'm getting at is don't debt yourself up to the eyeballs on personal debt, on things that you don't necessarily need, because you can end up getting yourself into trouble. And long-term, you've got to live with those debts. You go and buy all this stuff and you've got to look after that long-term, that debt. And that reduces your free income every month or every fortnight, however often you get paid as well. So then you end up getting to a point where you're stretched and then the bills come around and you go, oh, try and avoid getting yourself into those situations there. Look after your money, look after your family, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.